Welcome back to the farm. We're working on that 460 again. As you see, the fast hitch is a lot straighter and a drawbar goes in it now. Straighten it out with the porta power. We put it in between, spread them. It was pretty bent, and the valves were stuck for the Hydro Touch. There's some water in the hydraulic fluid and it made them stick a little bit of rust. We got those freed up. Now we're working on the power steering. You turn it to the right and it turns fine, but then when you turn it back, you can go 2 full turns with the wheel before it starts to turn back to the left. So with all that milky water in the hydraulic system there, we're going to take this valve cover off here, the power steering, and see maybe if that's all gunky and has rust in it or anything like that. Well, taking that valve apart for the steering didn't seem to do anything. We took this cover off right here, and there's just a spring-loaded O-ring in there, and the hydraulic fluid was milky, so we definitely need to change the hydraulic fluid, but it's still doing the same thing. So now what we're going to try to do is take off that cover in there where the steering shaft goes into. And in order to do that, we got to take this side rail off the motor and then take that cap off. Try to do an adjustment. Could be a nut in there that needs to be adjusted on the worm gear. And now we have the side rail off. Have the jack underneath the tractor, and a block underneath the front end of the motor, and a jack under the very front end, just to make sure none of it moves around when we're working on it. And all we have to do is disconnect these lines off the valve. Take the valve off with those 4 cap screws, Allen screws, and then take that cover off and it should slide right out of here. And disconnect that line up there and see what's wrong. Well, now we have the whole assembly out of the front of the tractor here, and we found out that on the ball nut right there, it's supposed to be a tapered set screw that goes into that, and that comes in from the, I don't know if you can get in here to see, up there, up inside of there, there's a set screw that comes down through the piston. And it's snapped off, so that was allowing the ball nut to go back and forth without even being connected to the piston, which would account for the slop in the steering. So now we got to take the whole front end apart, radiator, so we can get the nut off the top and allow the front bolster and wheels to drop out the bottom here so we can get that piston out, because that's meshed in with the gear teeth. So we got to take all the front end apart. We ordered up a couple of set screws for that, just in case this ever goes bad again. Well, now we have all the radiator and grill off, and we took off the nut for the bolster pivot. We have it jacked up so that it came out of the rack, and we noticed there's half a tooth. And also on the bolster, you can see that there's 3/4 of a tooth missing. Right here is where the line on the rack lines up in between these two teeth. They have dots on either side of it. So what we're going to do is just turn this whole bolster 180 degrees, because we only use from here to here these teeth, and the other side doesn't even get touched. So we're gonna flip it 180 degrees and use this side over here. So that should work out. We have 2 new pins to go in the rack, or the rack piston for that ball nut. We'll put it back in and put it back together, and this should correct the problem. There's those broken teeth. Okay, we spun around the bolster gear pedestal 180 degrees, so now the broken tooth is on this side instead of being over here where the rack engages. So now we have nice full teeth on this side. That should work. So now we have the bolster all back in, have the nut all tightened up, and we put the piston rack assembly back in with that new set screw, and there's very little play now. So all we have to do now is put the valve body back onto the bottom, up through this hole here. This aligning pin for the valve goes on a flat spot. The piston assembly there has springs, and it, when you move it, it moves the valve back and forth to put pressure one way and put pressure the other way when you turn it, either way or the other, left or right. Well, now with it all back together, steering's working fine. free time. Well, now that we got the steering all taken care of, there's just the valves, hydraulic valves, that we need to straighten out a little bit. And then this is a pretty much done tractor, ready to work. Well, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.